is going to be super fun. We'll get started. Hello, and welcome to the ACE Mentor session on civil engineering and structural engineering with a bonus of transportation engineering. My name is Akilah Darden. I am president of the board of directors for the ACE Mentor program here in Indianapolis. We are going to have an amazing, fun session today. We have Briyana with us, and Kisch, and David, Ellie, Jonathan, and they will be bringing the energy, and they're going to convince you to join their industry. So we are going to get started. Ellie, would you like to go first with your introduction? You know, the college you went to, your major, your career field, and any certifications you have.
Sure. So Ellie Stanoch, I went to Purdue University. I majored in civil engineering. I'm in the transportation industry, and I'm a team leader at Lawrence and sit on the board of directors for ACE, serving as our mentor chair.
Awesome, thank you. Kisch, would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I am Kisch Elsenbroek. I am originally from New England, so I went to the University of Maine and moved out to Indiana after I graduated from college. My degree, I graduated with a degree in civil engineering focused on the water industry, and that's where I still am focused today. I am a mentor at Decatur Central High School. I had been team lead in the past, but this year I've stepped back to just be a team mentor.
Awesome. Thank you, Kisch. Briyana.
Hi, my name is Briyana Stewart. I graduated from Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida. I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee, and after graduation in December of 2017, I moved to Indiana. I'm currently a mentor at Lawrence. Have been, I guess, for about two years or so now. And I graduated from Florida A&M University with a degree in biological and agricultural systems engineering with a focus in natural resources.
Okay, you got sustainability on lock. Great. Dave, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Akilah. I'm Dave DeLong. I am a structural engineer. I'm also a Purdue University grad, civil engineering degree, structures emphasis. I got my bachelor's and master's there. I am a registered PE, which is a professional engineer, and SE, which is a structural engineer, required in a couple states. And I am proud to be the lead mentor at our North Central High School ACE chapter.
How many years has it been, Dave?
Put me on the spot, and that's an easy one. 3 or 4, maybe.
I think
it just goes like that, you know.
Jonathan, how are you?
I'm doing well. My name is Jonathan Morris. I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from University of Minnesota and a master's degree from Purdue. I'm structural engineering focused, and that's the career field that I'm in. I have a PE and SE, PE for Indiana, SE for a few other states, and then I'm also a mentor at North Central with Dave.
Awesome, that's amazing. So I hear, so Dave's a professional engineer and professional civil structural. Jonathan's a PE. Ellie, are you a PE as well? Okay. A PE and what?
Just professional engineer.
Okay, okay. Kisch and Briyana, do you have any certifications outside of your degrees?
Yeah, I'm a professional engineer as well, and I also am a PMP, which stands for Project Manager Professional.
Perfect.
I also had my lead AP certification before they changed the process several years ago.
Okay, all right. I'm also a lead AP as well. So let's talk about why you chose your career. Kisch, we'll start with you.
For me, I had a lot of influence from my dad. He's a mechanical engineer, and so he worked on cranes for the U.S. Navy, and I always thought what he did was really cool, and I went to like Daughters to Work Day and got to go up in the cranes and thought all that industry was really neat. So I knew I wanted to be an engineer, but I didn't really know what that meant or what field to go into when trying to pick, because there's a lot of different engineering options out there. So in high school, I talked with some of my teachers, and I really liked physics and I really liked chemistry. And so they directed me towards chemical engineering. And when I got to college, I realized high school chemistry was fun, but college chemistry was not quite as much fun. And so at that point, I shifted gears and realized I liked water a lot more than chemistry, and settled on civil engineering.
Wow. So you went to the top of the crane, down to the water. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Briyana, what about you? Why did you choose your career?
So I guess you can tell from my actual degree, it's not technically civil engineering, but it was, my course load was essentially the same thing as a civil engineer, with the exception of some major specific courses. And while doing that, I interned and was a student researcher in a couple of different areas during that time. So it was like, do I want to be in a lab doing some hands-on kind of stuff, or do I want to be actually part of the design process? And I kind of like both, to be honest. But I found more that I could be a little bit more hands-on with the actual stuff that I learned at like right away out of college with this design job. And I knew going into college that water is life. So I was into that for sure, and I wanted to stick with that coming out of college. And I had a lot of mentors that worked in the design field in water resources, and here I am. So I get to kind of step into the sustainability era, as you said, but I get to be part of the design process and planning for the project and things like that. So I kind of get a little bit of everything that I wanted going into college out of this right now.
Awesome. Thank you. I love it because we have bridges and we have water, and to get over the water, you need a bridge and you need highways and transportation. So Ellie, that jumps us to you. Why did you choose your career?
Well, I was always a good student when it came to math and science, and our family's roots run very deep with Purdue. So I was always going to Purdue, and I just kind of paired them together, and Purdue engineering was the path I went down. I had originally thought aeronautical engineering was where I might end up. I was interested in NASA and space and those sort of things, but after getting to Purdue, I soon realized I liked the idea of civil engineering, where you could really see what you were a part of, drive down the street, you see a building, a bridge, I kind of like that aspect better. So I ended up in civil engineering. And then the summer after my freshman year, a high school friend's dad reached out to me, who was in transportation, and offered to pair me up with a firm to intern that summer. And that was a transportation internship. So I just kind of rolled with it. I liked what I was doing there, and then chose classes at Purdue to take me down the transportation route. So I had a job for 3 years in college with that firm, and finished when I graduated. I ended up working for them right out of college.
Awesome. Internships are key, right? That's great. David, how did you choose your field?
I'm going to echo a lot of the similar thoughts. I repeated the mantra of almost every engineer I know, which is I was good at math and science. I know a lot of our students are in that condition, and then similar to a lot of the other mentors, it's a path to find out what you're good at and also what you're interested in. So echoing again what several of the mentors said, I started at Purdue and I thought I wanted to be a computer and electrical engineer, and I was pretty set on it. And then you start taking more technical classes, and you realize what you're interested in. So very similar to Ellie, I realized that I had a better knack for tangible things. So circuit classes, I could do well at, but I didn't really enjoy. Free body diagrams, physics classes, building things was a lot more interesting to me. So I followed that career. I somehow randomly ended up doing almost the exact same thing that my older brother does. He's 4 years older, so I think that was part of an influence, although I kind of like to think that I was finding my own way, but he's a structural engineer as well. And yeah, I'll just, I always tell the students, because you hear so many of these stories, don't feel like you're on some absolute track. You'll find that you choose a college major, and even once you choose engineering, there's so many different kinds of engineering. And you shouldn't feel that you need to even stay in engineering once you start taking those college courses. So many of our students are so talented, and they can be successful in so many different fields, but it's just very, very, very important. I want to reiterate it. Start to think about what you'd be good at, but also what you enjoy, because there are so many different opportunities, even in our fields.
That is great. Do what you enjoy, for sure. That's truth. Jonathan, what made you choose your career?
So I'm going to sound like a broken record, just like everybody else. Good at math and science. Knew I wanted to do engineering going into college. Mechanical, I started out at, then went to electrical, did a couple classes, didn't like it, ended up in civil. And I was due to one of my friends that I knew, and I asked him why he was in civil engineering, and he said that he played with Legos as a kid, and that was something that I absolutely loved doing. And I loved watching like the History Channel and looking at historic buildings. So it was just something I knew that I wanted to kind of get involved in. And then also, just going into a building, I'll look up and see what the building structure is. And that was even before I knew I wanted to do structural engineering. And so I know even now my wife will ask me what I'm looking at, and it's usually the build, like I'm looking at what the structure consists of when I look up at the ceiling of a building that I go into. So also the kind of what Dave was saying is don't get locked into one thing or another. Make sure it's something that you enjoy doing day in and day out, whether it's winding path to another, just something you enjoy.
Awesome. That is amazing. So before we talk about your typical day, everyone mentioned math, science, someone into physics, someone into tangible things. How does that math, science, tangible things relate to your typical day? So what do you do on a typical day? And we are just going to, just raise your hand if you'd like to go first and talk about your typical day and how that relates to some of the subjects our students are taking. Go ahead, Jonathan.
So a typical day, will be anything from running calculations. So actually doing math equations, whether it's formulas that have already been set up or even modeling a building in 3 dimensions. But also, outside of that, we also have meetings with everybody else in the field that it's going to be an ACE, architects, other engineers or contractors, to make sure we're coordinating our building across everybody and everybody's expertise. And then also site visits. Probably once or twice a week, I'll be out on site looking at buildings to make sure it's being built per what our plans are showing, that we have been drawing along with, from doing our calculations, getting it on paper, and then actually seeing it built.
Who's next?
So I'll go next. So for the first probably 5 to 8 years of my career, I was very similar to Jonathan. A lot of calculations. I was running a lot of water models and trying to figure out where, when it rains, water has to go someplace, then we have to deal with it. So what's the best way to do that? And then around 8 years into my career, I kind of shifted more to the project management track as opposed to the technical track. So I still use a lot of math. I still use a lot of critical thinking and problem solving, but it's a little bit different. I'm not doing as many of the engineering type calculations. I'm reviewing those calculations that others are doing. I'm doing a lot of financial calculations, a lot of scheduling and budgeting, and kind of some of those other areas that you bring into ACE with, usually our construction management focuses a lot on scheduling and budgeting, but that's a huge part of what we do as engineers as well. And so nowadays, again, my engineering applications are reviewing what other people have done but then a lot of the I'll call them soft skill sets that you learn in ACE on time management and leadership skills and working with others and budgets and scheduling and all of those other things that we do are more of my day-to-day job that I focus on.
Nice. You touched all the aspects of ACE. Ellie.
Yeah, I'll follow Kish because my kind of story parallels that. The right out of college is primarily calculations and at your desk with the computer programming and figuring out the alignment of the road. But with transportation, one of the things that I kind of fell in love with was there's a broad facet of things that you have to work on. You've got the vertical and horizontal design. You also deal with drainage and hydraulics. There's the traffic analysis portion. You work with environmental engineers for permitting, utility relocations. So you're looking at many different types of calculations, and working with a lot of different people. And then probably about the same 8-year mark, kind of rolled into more project management. I also stepped down from being full-time, got a family of 3, and work part-time. So I was managing projects and sometimes pieces of those projects. Utility relocations were a big factor, as well as coordinating right-of-way acquisition, communicating with our clients, which would be like the city of Indianapolis or the Indiana Department of Transportation, and helping put all those pieces together and oversee the big picture of the project.
Nice. Dave.
In the interest of time, I won't add too much. That me and Jonathan are kind of on the same track. Just echoing what people said, you have to have the solid skills in math. And as engineers, we add, I would say, another level, which is problem solving, which is something that high school students do. But all of a sudden, too, as you go through college, you learn more and more. Instead of trying to do an assignment that's a little more prescriptive than homework, you just get better and better at solving more interesting projects, more outside of the box projects. You get better and better doing that. I think the longer you practice as an engineer, and then just adding the skills that I know some of our other mentors here mentioned, and some of the ACE students work on, because at an ACE session, we're kind of being more collaborative. You just learn how to work with other people, work with the other trades, because you're all trying to get to the same end product of a building that works, but you're all bringing something completely different. And you have to a lot of times also work through conflicts or issues where, a structural engineer and a mechanical engineer or electrical engineer kind of have to work through how they're going to get everything to fit together in a building. That's a big part of my day as well.
I just kind of like, Akilah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to kind of add that one of the challenges I find of the career is that, unlike in school where you have a math problem or a physics problem, there's a right answer, there's an answer. And one of the challenges is that there's no right answer. There's thousands of different ways to come up with a project, to come up with a building structure or a road layout. And it's challenging to, factor in all the different things and come up with what the best solution is, with financial constraints, with environmental constraints, with right-of-way constraints. There's so many different pieces of the puzzle while balancing safety and efficiency.
Ellie, you hit the nail on the head, no pun intended. I am in construction, but you mentioned challenges and all the factors that go into it. So we are going to close with the challenge, which is now an opportunity to have ACE via virtual. So we have students looking at this video. What do you want them to know and take away from this grandiose opportunity of being virtual, having to create a project that they'll learn about in January, being at home and collaborating with others via virtual learning? So what can you do to motivate the students, or what can they capitalize on while in this virtual world? Anyone can take that.
Yeah, I may start. I guess first I want to thank any of the students that are being a part of ACE now. We are so grateful in North Central for our mentors, but also our students just showing up, because it's hard. It is a challenge, as Akilah said. I know the entire student's day is more of a challenge. So we really appreciate you guys stepping up on the sessions. We've been trying to listen to our students as much as possible for getting through this process, because, echoing what Akilah and Ellie said, this is a real world challenge that we're all going through now of how to do this collaboratively. And the mentors are going through it on a professional level too. We're in our daily lives. I don't think it's nearly as disruptive as it is for a high school student, but we're trying to figure out how to get through meetings, projects that need to be constructed, obviously in person, collaboration and things like that virtually. So I think I'm optimistic of what we're all going to come up with. I just ask the students to just hang in there, and I challenge the mentors and the students to, we're going to rely on you students more than any typical year to give us feedback on how to do this, because I think you guys are all better at Zoom than we are at this point. So don't be afraid to weigh in, share your experiences of how your high school classes have been going, because you're going to have a bigger leadership this year with shaping how the year goes.
Absolutely.
I also want to add, at least for my students that I've dealt with, I've been in ACE since 2009, so I've seen a wide variety of students and mentors at Decatur. And for our school, and I'm sure all the other schools as well, we have a lot of students that end up having something they're really interested in, but we may not have a mentor available to come to a meeting. So I ask all the students to speak up when you want to learn about something very specific, especially in a virtual setting now. That will make it's a lot easier for mentors to chime into a Zoom call for an hour than it is to maybe have to leave work and go someplace physically. So students, speak up, let us know. We are here to help you. We want to connect you with the right people, and virtual, this is one of the benefits of virtual. But it seems like a challenge, and it is a challenge. It's a lot easier for us as mentors to be able to maybe hop onto a Zoom call than it would have been for us to be at a meeting physically before.
Yes, absolutely.
The word that came to mind for me was the communication, and that kind of piggybacks Kish. We have to talk to each other a little bit more than maybe we used to get through it. So just make sure you're talking to each other and your mentors, and use email, use Zoom, use whatever. But we can do this if we work through it together and communicate.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think the big thing, like, everybody is saying, is the communication part. So, I mean, now that we're going down to shorter sessions just because it's virtual, the big thing will be between sessions, and yeah, sending emails, reaching out, and all of us are happy to answer any questions that you have. And yeah, if you have some, like what Kish mentioned about, if you have an interest that maybe you don't have a mentor at your school, we can definitely work on that and getting people across different schools to make sure that you're getting something that you're focused on and interested in.
Perfect.
I'd also say, just to agree with communicating and emailing, just something that I'm experiencing now with working, like we schedule multiple internal meetings throughout the week just so we can get ideas, anything that changes throughout the week, any potential changes throughout the week, or something to expect. And it gives you something to look forward to when you kind of do those in between check-ins, or just ask questions that you can present maybe in the next Zoom meeting or whatever. But you get the dialogue going, and you give yourself something to, maybe if they want to look into things offline, or just research some things just to see exactly what piques their interest, so that they can know moving forward, even if they want to, remain in the ACE program the next year, what they can bring to the table and what they'd be willing to completely put themselves into. So
Excellent. So that's awesome. As we close, you've heard it from the experts. Thank you, Ellie, Kisch, Briyana, David, Jonathan, for your time. And as I mentioned, math science is important, but just as important is communication and collaboration. So with that, as you guys go into your session, if you have any questions or comments or things that you would like to see, you have 2 board members on this session, but we're available to make next year as exciting, more exciting. If there's tools you need, please let your team leaders know. They'll get it to us. Again, thank you all for your time. This has been the Structural and Civil Engineering session. Thank you. All right.